Hello Lakers fan, if you are one of those who are always up to date with the news about our Lakers, then you need to stay tuned to what is coming up on our Lakers news channel. I am preparing exclusive coverage on the possible signings of Lakers, and what I can tell you is that rumors are catching fire on social media, and if you don't want to miss any information, stay tuned. We have exclusive news every day. If you are a true Lakers and don't want to be left out of the news, be sure to subscribe. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Let's go to the video.
Tracy McGrady makes bold claim about LeBron James' GOAT status. NBA Hall of Famer Tracy McGrady recently shared a compelling take on LeBron James' place in the conversation for greatest player of all time, and offered a surprising what if that could have sealed LeBron's claim as the undisputed GOAT. At 40 years old, LeBron remains not just active, but elite, the longest tenured and oldest player currently in the NBA. A 21-time All-NBA selection and 4-time league MVP, he's already solidified his legacy as one of the greatest to ever step on a basketball court. But in a league shaped by legends like Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, and Bill Russell, the debate around who truly deserves the title of greatest of all time continues. On a recent episode of Gilbert Arenas' podcast Gil's Arena, McGrady introduced a fascinating angle to the conversation: the triangle offense. The system, designed by Tex Winter and implemented to perfection by Phil Jackson with both the Chicago Bulls and the Los Angeles Lakers, produced 11 championships between 1991 and 2010. McGrady suggested that if LeBron had been exposed to the triangle offense early in his career, we might not even be having a GOAT debate. If Bron had learned the triangle when he was young, it would have taken his game to a whole other level, McGrady said. He's not the same athlete he was before, but if you take LeBron in his prime, with that speed, agility, and explosiveness, and put him in the triangle system, there'd be no question who the greatest of all time is. Would LeBron have thrived in the triangle? The triangle offense emphasized team-oriented movement, spacing, and reactive decision-making, a system that worked brilliantly for scoring guards like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. But it wasn't a universal fit. In fact, Phil Jackson's attempt to resurrect the system with the New York Knicks, led by Carmelo Anthony, was a notorious failure. LeBron, however, isn't just any star. He's a generational passer, a player whose basketball IQ is arguably unmatched in league history. While it's true he never needed the triangle to dominate, McGrady's point is hard to ignore. The structure and rhythm of that system could have elevated LeBron's all-around impact even further, turning greatness into something transcendent. The case for LeBron, with or without the triangle. Even without the triangle offense, LeBron James has built one of the most complete resumes in NBA history. He's the only player to lead 3 different franchises to NBA championships, winning 4 titles and claiming Finals MVP each time. He's been to the NBA Finals 10 times, including an unprecedented 8 consecutive appearances from 2011 to 2018. He's done all of this while sharing the floor with other future Hall of Famers like Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and Anthony Davis, often outshining them when it mattered most. Beyond the accolades, the numbers are staggering. All-time leading scorer in NBA history. 21 All-NBA selections, a record. 21 All-Star appearances, also a record. 4 MVP awards, tied with Wilt Chamberlain. 6 All-Defensive Team honors. Only Kareem 6, Jordan 5, and Russell 5 have more MVP trophies. Yet none have matched LeBron's longevity or sustained excellence at such a high level. Still great at 40, and still evolving. What makes LeBron's case even more remarkable is the fact that, at age 40, he's still one of the top players in the league. In his 22nd NBA season, a feat no other superstar has accomplished at this level, he remained the Lakers' second-best player, helping lead them to a 50-32 record. In 70 regular season games last season, he averaged 24.4 points per game, 8.2 assists, 7.8 rebounds, while shooting 51.3% from the field, 37.6% from 3, and 78.2% from the line. Those are not the numbers of a player in decline, they're the numbers of a player still dominating. And next season, LeBron is set to break yet another record as he begins his 23rd NBA campaign, extending his legacy even further. Whether or not he ever played in the triangle offense, LeBron James has already built a legacy that will be talked about for generations. But as Tracy McGrady pointed out, it's fascinating to imagine what could have been, and even more thrilling to watch what LeBron still is. The GOAT debate might never end, but if there's one thing we can all agree on, it's this: LeBron James isn't done making his case. Tracy McGrady makes bold statement on LeBron James' GOAT status. Former NBA All-Star Tracy McGrady recently shared a thought-provoking take on LeBron James' legacy. While there's no question that LeBron is one of the greatest to ever play the game, McGrady suggested that under different circumstances, LeBron's claim to the title of greatest of all time might be even more secure. Speaking on Gilbert Arenas' podcast Gil's Arena, McGrady pointed to the legendary triangle offense, used by Phil Jackson and Tex Winter to win 11 NBA championships, as a system that could have elevated LeBron's game even further if he had been exposed to it early in his career. If Bron had learned the triangle when he was younger, it would have expanded his game tremendously, McGrady said. He's not as explosive or fast as he once was, but if you take the young Bron, with that athleticism and IQ, and put him in that system, I don't think there would be any debate about who the greatest player is. The triangle offense, known for its structure and emphasis on spacing and team movement, helped define the careers of players like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. While the system was less effective in the modern era, especially during a failed attempt with the New York Knicks, the idea of blending it with LeBron's skill set raises an interesting question. Would it have filled in the few gaps that critics still point to in his career? LeBron's legacy already speaks volumes. He's led 10 teams to the NBA Finals, winning 4 titles and earning Finals MVP each time. His career includes 21 All-NBA selections, 21 All-Star appearances, 4 League MVP awards, and the all-time scoring record. At 40 years old, he's still performing at an elite level and shows no signs of slowing down. But McGrady's take opens up a broader conversation. Could system fit and early development paths have made an already all-time great into an even more untouchable figure in basketball history? This idea also touches on the deeper debate that has defined basketball discourse for decades. What truly makes a player the greatest? Is it raw talent, championships, influence, longevity, or the way a player adapts to systems and styles across eras? LeBron's name is often mentioned alongside legends like Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, and Magic Johnson. What sets him apart in many ways is the sheer versatility of his game, a combination of power, intelligence, and consistency that few have matched across so many seasons. McGrady's comment may not settle the debate, but it adds a new lens through which to view LeBron's career, one that blends imagination with historical insight. And while no system defines a player, imagining how LeBron might have thrived in the triangle is a reminder of just how much room there still is to appreciate the many dimensions of his greatness. Lakers' biggest weakness highlighted ahead of the new season, according to NBA Insider. Lakers basketball is just around the corner, with NBA training camp and preseason fast approaching. And while fans were hoping for a major roster overhaul, the team is heading into the new season with a lineup that looks quite similar to last year's, the same squad that exited in the first round of the playoffs. Still, the Lakers did make moves to address their most glaring weakness, the center position. They brought in DeAndre Ayton, a high-upside reclamation project after underwhelming stints in Phoenix and Portland. The front office also added veteran guard Marcus Smart and wing Jake LaRavia, both of whom bring valuable skills to the table. But let's be honest, they're not exactly game-changers. Now, with the off-season winding down, the Lakers' rotation is beginning to take shape, and ESPN's Kevin Pelton has pointed out what could be the team's biggest vulnerability. As dynamic as the Lakers' perimeter trio of Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves is offensively, they're limited on the defensive end, Pelton wrote in an ESPN piece. Dorian Finney-Smith, now with the Rockets, served as the team's primary perimeter stopper after last season's trade deadline. While Marcus Smart is a welcome addition, Pelton questions how effective he can still be on the perimeter at this stage in his career. Smart may be more effective against bigger matchups now than he is defending primary ball handlers. So, how can the Lakers tighten up their perimeter defense? The answer might lie in the team's younger talent. 2 names to watch this season, Bronny James and Abdul-Jabbar. Bronny looked far more confident during the Summer League, handling the ball with more poise and showing flashes of elite on-ball defense. Thiero, the team's second-round pick, impressed in college with his tenacity and relentless motor. While his offensive game is still developing, his defensive instincts could earn him meaningful minutes early in the season. Together, Bronny, Thiero, LaRavia, and Ayton give the Lakers an intriguing foundation of young defenders, players with untapped defensive upside that could help reshape the team's identity on that end of the court. So yes, the Lakers made a bold move to shore up their front court this summer. But unless their perimeter defense improves, that unaddressed hole on the wing could end up being their Achilles heel when it matters most. This looming defensive concern has already sparked conversation among analysts and fans alike, especially considering the competitive landscape of the Western Conference. With offensive powerhouses like the Denver Nuggets, Golden State Warriors, and Phoenix Suns in the mix, the ability to contain elite guards and wings is no longer optional, it's essential. The Lakers' lack of reliable wing defenders has exposed them in past playoff runs. Last season, they struggled to contain perimeter-heavy offenses, often relying too heavily on LeBron's versatility and the occasional flashes of defense from Reeves. But with LeBron entering his 21st season and expected to take on more selective defensive assignments, it's unreasonable to expect him to carry that burden for 82 games, plus a deep playoff run. The addition of Marcus Smart does provide a physical, high IQ defender with playoff experience. However, as Pelton pointed out, his foot speed and lateral agility may no longer be where they once were. If the Lakers are counting on Smart to consistently shut down quicker guards like De'Aaron Fox or Jamal Murray, they may be setting themselves up for disappointment. This places even more pressure on the development curve of younger players. Bronny James, despite his strong summer league showings, is still a rookie adjusting to the NBA pace. Adu Thiero, while physically impressive, is largely untested at the professional level. Expecting them to make immediate high-level defensive contributions is ambitious and potentially unrealistic. There's also the question of roster balance. With the team leaning into size and versatility, there remains a noticeable lack of true 3 and D wings, the kind of players that have become crucial in today's switch-heavy defensive schemes. Jake LaRavia has potential, but he's yet to prove he can be a reliable rotation player on a playoff team. If his shot doesn't fall early, his minutes may be limited. From a strategic standpoint, head coach Darvin Ham will need to be creative. Schemes that hide weaker defenders or maximize Smart strengths, like drop coverage or selective switching, could help minimize damage. Still, without consistent on-ball defense from the perimeter, the Lakers risk being forced into too many scramble situations, where even Anthony Davis can only do so much as the anchor. This all underscores the stakes for the upcoming season. The Lakers didn't make major splashes in free agency, opting instead for internal development and calculated role-player additions. But that gamble hinges on young players growing up fast, and veterans like Smart and Ayton rediscovering their peak form. If it works, this version of the Lakers could surprise people, a well-rounded team that combines youth, experience, and size. But if the perimeter defense doesn't hold up, this team could once again find itself chasing ghosts come playoff time. Bronny James reflects on his crazy NBA debut. It was different with my dad on the team. Bronny James has lived under the spotlight for most of his life. But everything changed the moment he officially joined the NBA, not just as a rookie, but as a teammate of his father, LeBron James. From the moment pre-draft workouts began, there was a sense of inevitability. Bronny was heading to Los Angeles. That became reality when the Lakers selected him with the 55th overall pick in the 2024 NBA Draft. Inside the organization, there was no illusion. They saw him as a long-term project, especially after a turbulent freshman season at USC and a serious health scare the previous summer. The setback, a cardiac incident, sidelined Bronny during critical developmental months. And yet, when he stepped onto the court in a Lakers jersey, critics didn't hold back. Every mistake, every missed shot, every hesitation was magnified. Still, Bronny didn't flinch. He stayed grounded, worked through the adversity, and kept focusing on his growth. Of all the moments in his rookie season, none were more unforgettable than opening night, the first time he shared an NBA court with his father. It was history in motion, the first father-son duo to play in the league at the same time, on the same team. Now, looking back 1 year later, Bronny reflected on that surreal night during a conversation with Grant Horvat Golf. It was crazy. Just a wild experience to be a part of, he said. The nerves were real. I wasn't shaking or anything, I was ready to play, but it's different when your dad's on the team. There are expectations. The Lakers have expectations. But at the end of the day, I love basketball. So just being out there, stepping on an NBA court for the first time, it was unreal. Absolutely crazy. The weight of a legacy. The reality is, Bronny's journey will always come with comparisons, often unfair ones, to his father. LeBron James is one of the greatest players to ever pick up a basketball. Bronny, just beginning his professional path, is still carving out his own identity. And yet, every move he makes is scrutinized through the lens of legacy. Critics questioned the Lakers' decision to draft him at all, suggesting the pick was more about appeasing LeBron than basketball merit. The organization pushed back on that narrative, insisting Bronny was chosen based on potential, not pedigree. Behind the scenes, teammates and coaches have shown strong support for the young guard. They believe there's something real in his game, flashes of defensive tenacity, glimpses of a developing handle, and a willingness to learn. Bronny himself seems to believe it too. He spent the offseason working to improve his ball handling and decision-making, fully aware that a bigger opportunity might be coming. Whether or not he earns consistent minutes in his sophomore season remains to be seen. But so far he's handled the pressure, the attention, the comparisons, the expectations, as well as anyone possibly could. A name, a number, a future. Bronny isn't just LeBron's son. He's a young athlete trying to make a name for himself in the most unforgiving league in the world. And despite the outside noise, he's embracing that challenge. He understands the spotlight isn't going anywhere. But rather than run from it, he's learning to stand in it. As LeBron prepares to enter his 23rd NBA season, defying father time once again, Bronny continues to quietly build something of his own. His story is still in its early chapters. But if the debut year taught us anything, it's this: he's not just here because of a famous last name. He's here because he loves the game, and he's ready to earn his place in it. Growing up in the spotlight, now, under the microscope. For most young players, the rookie year is about learning, adjusting to the speed of the game, and figuring out where they fit. For Bronny James, that learning curve came under a microscope the size of an NBA arena. Every possession, every turnover, every decision was dissected by analysts and debated across social media. His stat lines weren't just box scores, they were headlines. And while many rookies are allowed to grow quietly, Bronny had to navigate his development with the weight of expectations that far exceeded his role. The pressure was especially heavy because of what he represented, not just a first-year guard, but LeBron James' son, sharing a locker room and spotlight with one of the greatest to ever play the game. That symbolism made every misstep louder, every slump more dramatic. Inside the Lakers organization, however, the approach was different. Coaches and front office executives never expected Bronny to dominate right away. Privately, they maintained their belief that he could grow into a legitimate contributor, but it would take time, patience, and most importantly, space to grow at his own pace. That perspective, though, hasn't stopped public discourse from spinning. Media scrutiny and the burden of legacy. The debate over whether Bronny was drafted for merit or marketing continues to circulate, especially among fans and media outside of Los Angeles. Was the pick made to secure LeBron's commitment? Did the Lakers pass on more NBA-ready talent? Those questions, while persistent, often ignore the human side of the equation. Bronny didn't choose his last name, nor did he ask for the pressure that comes with it. He's simply a young man chasing his dream, and doing so with a level of maturity and professionalism that many veterans have praised behind the scenes. Still, comparisons to his father remain inevitable. That pressure, no matter how unfair, is something Bronny has acknowledged in private settings, not as a complaint, but as a reality he's learning to live with. And that might be his greatest strength, not the vertical leap or the defensive potential, but the composure he's shown in the face of a media environment that can be relentless and unforgiving. The road ahead. As the 2025-26 season approaches, the question now is not whether Bronny can play, but whether the Lakers will give him the opportunity to prove he belongs. The Lakers roster remains veteran-heavy, and minutes are hard to come by for younger players. But with off-season departures and the inevitable grind of an 82-game season, doors will open. And Bronny, by all accounts, is preparing as if his moment is coming. He's spent the summer focused on improving his shooting consistency, strengthening his body, and continuing to develop his feel as a ball handler and defender, areas where scouts believe he can eventually excel. Whether that translates into a rotation spot this season remains uncertain. But there's a growing sense within the Lakers camp that Bronny's story is just beginning, and that when the opportunity does come, he'll be ready. A unique NBA journey. Very few players have ever walked the path Bronny is walking. Even fewer have done it while carrying the weight of a generational legacy. But he's shown a rare ability to handle the noise, focus on the work, and remain grounded, all while playing beside the very figure who shaped his basketball dreams. The world may have tuned in to see history, a father and son sharing the NBA stage, but what happens next will depend entirely on Bronny himself. He's not trying to fill LeBron's shoes. He's trying to walk in his own. And no matter how loud the noise becomes, the work, and the love for the game, continues quietly behind the scenes. Paul George believes Luka Doncic could become the greatest international player of all time. Luka Doncic has been one of the most gifted players in basketball since the moment he stepped into the NBA as a teenager in 2018. But after a difficult year marked by injury, a high-profile trade from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers, and a disappointing early playoff exit, there were questions surrounding his place among the game's elite. This summer, Doncic answered those questions, not with words, but with performance. At the 2025 FIBA Eurobasket, he led Slovenia on a surprising run to the quarterfinals, surpassing all expectations while putting up eye-popping numbers in nearly every major statistical category. He didn't just play well, he dominated. One player who took notice? Paul George, the Philadelphia 76ers star and former Clippers forward, who's faced Doncic many times on the NBA stage. Speaking on Podcast P, George offered perhaps the most powerful praise a player like Luka could receive. "We're talking about being the greatest international player ever," George said. "That means surpassing some all-time greats, Dirk, Tony Parker, Hakeem. Even Giannis. Luka has that chance. His game is older than he is. He's tough. He's a real problem. I'm a huge fan of Luka. And he talks trash too, he's a killer man." George didn't hold back, and for good reason. He's seen Doncic's evolution up close over the last 7 years, from their playoff battles in Los Angeles to watching him shine on the international stage. And now, after watching him lead Slovenia deep into the tournament, George believes Luka belongs in conversations once reserved for legends, earning his place among legends. To be mentioned in the same breath as Hakeem Olajuwon, Dirk Nowitzki, and Tony Parker is no small thing. These are Hall of Famers, champions, and pioneers who left an indelible mark both in the NBA and internationally. But for Luka, at just 26 years old, the comparisons are starting to feel less like compliments and more like benchmarks he's actively chasing. His blend of skill, vision, strength, and basketball IQ is rare. But perhaps what separates Doncic is his confidence. He plays with an edge, fearless, even playful, and never backs down, no matter the moment or the opponent. That's part of why so many veterans, including George, are starting to view him not just as the future of the game, but already one of its defining forces. Physical transformation, same dangerous player. A major storyline going into Eurobasket was Doncic's transformation. After an intense summer of conditioning and weight loss, he arrived leaner, quicker, and more locked in than ever before. He proved it in the quarterfinal matchup against powerhouse Germany, led by Orlando Magic forward Franz Wagner. Though Slovenia couldn't hold on in the final stretch and was eliminated after a hard-fought game, Luka was sensational. He dropped 39 points, grabbed 10 rebounds, and dished 7 assists, capping off a tournament where he looked every bit like the best player on the floor. Wagner, who faced Luka directly in the quarterfinals, was asked about the noticeable change in Doncic's physique and style of play. His response was telling. "Honestly, Luka looked just like he always does, incredible. Whether he's bulked up or slimmed down, he's a nightmare to guard." It's clear, Luka's physical condition may have improved, but his impact never needed validation. He's been elite for years. Now he's taking his game, and his legacy, to another level. The legacy that's already taking shape. Doncic's path hasn't followed the typical NBA superstar narrative. He's never been flashy off the court, never needed a super team to make noise, and never shied away from tough moments. Whether carrying Slovenia or elevating the Lakers after a turbulent season, he's building something rare, a legacy that spans cultures, continents, and generations. He still has more to prove, especially in Los Angeles, where expectations are sky high. But what's already clear is this: Luka Doncic isn't just one of the best international players in the game. He might be on his way to becoming the best we've ever seen. Shifting perceptions across the league. Luka Doncic's performance at Eurobasket 2025 didn't just silence critics. It reignited a conversation about his ceiling and the role he could play in reshaping the future of the NBA. Executives and analysts around the league were watching closely. Several scouts who attended the tournament reportedly left impressed not just with Doncic's production, but with how he led a relatively thin Slovenian roster deep into the competition. He was vocal, focused, and far more agile defensively, something that had been a consistent critique of his game in prior years. An anonymous Western Conference executive reportedly told The Athletic, "He looks lighter, faster, and more locked in. That version of Luka? That's an MVP, and potentially a championship-level leader. This evolution comes at a critical moment. Doncic was traded to the Lakers in a blockbuster deal that shocked the league earlier this year. Many questioned whether pairing him with LeBron James, even as LeBron enters his 23rd season, would create overlap or chemistry issues. But if Luka carries this level of play and leadership into training camp, that narrative may quickly change. A turning point for the Lakers. The Lakers front office has made it clear they view Luka as their franchise cornerstone beyond LeBron's eventual retirement. And while there are still roster pieces to finalize, Doncic's transformation is already being seen as a turning point for the organization. Internally, the Lakers were concerned about Luka's conditioning last season. Multiple sources cited it as a factor in late-game fatigue and inconsistent defensive effort. But this summer's version of Doncic looks different, physically and mentally. There's also growing confidence within the team that Luka is ready to embrace a new kind of leadership. With LeBron slowly transitioning out of his central role and Anthony Davis dealing with ongoing durability concerns, Doncic may be asked to shoulder the burden of carrying the offense more often, and setting the tone on both ends of the floor. If Eurobasket was any indication, he's ready. Respect from his peers, and pressure to deliver. Alongside Paul George's public praise, several other NBA stars took to social media during the tournament to applaud Doncic's play. Players like Jamal Murray, Pascal Siakam, and even Jason Tatum all posted highlights or comments recognizing Luka's brilliance. But with that recognition comes pressure and expectations. He's now entering the 2025-26 NBA season as not just a young star, but a player expected to lead one of the league's most iconic franchises deep into the playoffs. Anything short of a Western Conference Finals appearance will be viewed as underachievement, fair or not. This level of pressure could break some players. But Luka Doncic has never shown signs of backing down. If anything, he thrives in chaos. He talks trash. He competes like few others. And now, he looks healthier, sharper, and more determined than ever. The bigger picture. Luka's summer wasn't just about redemption, it was about evolution. About rewriting the story others were starting to write for him. About showing that despite setbacks, criticism, and the weight of expectations, he is still rising. He's already accomplished more than most players do in a decade. Multiple All-NBA selections. Historic playoff performances. Global stardom. But now, the path ahead is about sustaining greatness, and chasing something even bigger, legacy. And if Paul George is right, Luka's not just in the conversation for best international player ever. He might end up being one of the greatest to ever play the game, period.